ready to start over. Dee Evans, Larry and B. Fath, and Dave Cook play with the country band on Thursdays here in the park and will now entertain us with a musical number and some general fun. Welcome them.
My name is Benny Earl, and we are known as the Hay Shakers. And I'd like to let you know just a little bit about the band. We come from a place called Orchid and Holler, which is just up piece a little bit. And we got one transplant here from Minnesota. He's got a place over on the Cooter River, so he's over there. He's joining us tonight. I'd like to first of all introduce all of our band members. Starting over here on my left-hand side, the finest flat-top player in Marquis and Holler, and that is, please welcome Cousin Larry. Don't talk too much, or it might go to his head, so let's just kind of keep it down here a little bit. All right, next we have our new fang-dangled electric doghouse player, Auntie B. Ain't she a cute? Cousin Larry sure thinks so. And last but not least, we have the kicker from the Cooter River that made famous the song Dealing Banjos, famous in the movie of Deliver My Ass. Would you please welcome Uncle Dave the Cook? I gotta tell you first of all that the other day that Uncle Dave and Cousin Larry, they were sitting over on Dave's front porch and they were looking at the Sears and Roebuck catalog that just came in, admiring all the models. Uncle Dave says to Cousin Larry, you know, you've seen the beautiful girls in this catalog? Cousin Larry replies, yes, they sure are beautiful. And did you look at the price? Cousin Larry, with his eyes wide open, says, wow, they are very expensive. At that price, I think I'm going to buy me one. So Uncle Dave smiles, pats him on the back, he says, you go right ahead. You order one, and if she's as beautiful as the catalog shows, then maybe I'll buy one too. So about 3 weeks later, Uncle Dave finds Cousin Larry and says, hey, did you ever receive that girl you ordered from the Sears catalog? Cousin Larry replies, no, but it shouldn't be too long now because I got all of her clothes. Verse, he says, verse. You know, there's so many people out here, Eddie B. You know, kind of reminds me of a funeral that I attended here a few weeks ago. Yep. You know, it was my Uncle Ole and Aunt Lena.
I remember them.
You remember them? Yep, they lived just outside Marquis and Holler and worked a 40-acre farm there. And you know that Auntie Lena, she was a sweetheart of a gal, except she had one problem. She loved to nag Ole. She would nag him morning and night, and then sometimes even later. And the only relief that Uncle Ole got was getting out of the house and going out and plowing that bottom 40 with his own mule. So one day he was out there plowing away, and his wife Lena brought out the lunch. So he pulls over and sits down under a shade tree on an old stump, and he starts eating. And right away, Lena on him again, just nagging and nagging and nagging. And all of a sudden, that old mule must have been just put up with everything. And he kicked her and landed her right in the middle of her forehead. And she went up, and she was dead. Oh, that was terrible, just terrible. So anyway, 4 days later, they have this funeral. Big funeral. Lots of people there. Preacher was kind of watching. He wasn't sure just how he was going to preach to all these people. You know, he sees something pretty strange. Every time that a female mourner would go up and talk to Ole, he would just nod his head. And every time a male mourner came up and talked to Ole, he would just shake his head. And this went on all afternoon. The preacher, he just couldn't believe it. He said, I've got to figure out what's going on. So he went up to Uncle Ole, and he said, you know, I've been watching something. When the women come up and they mourn and they talk to you, you nod in agreement, and when the males come up, you shake your head. What's going on? Well, he says, you know, when the women come up and they see Lena there, you know, they tell her how pretty she is and how nice the dress is, and I would nod in agreement. He said, well, what about the males? And he said, well, they wanted to know if the mule was for sale. The other day we were all sitting at, there's a little bar in Marquise, and it's called Stubby's. And, well, there was, it was still kind of caught on fire and it burned down here a few months ago. But anyway, before that we were sitting around and all of a sudden a stranger walks into the bar. And he orders a white wine. And the bartender, he looks at this guy and he says, well, feller, I can tell you're not from around here. Nope. Where are you from? I'm from England. From England? What the hell do you do in England? Well, the guy says, well, I'm a taxidermist. A taxidermist? Just what in the hell is a taxidermist? Guy says, well, I mount animals. Bartender grins and shouts out to the whole bar, it's okay, boys, he's one of us. Now, we can't leave Annie B out of all this fun, too. Why, she told me just tonight that when she arrived here at Orchid Lake, a guy approached her with a gun and told her he wanted all of her money. And, of course, now Annie B, she told him, I don't have any money. So the guy frisked her, because he didn't believe her. He said, you know, you are right. You don't have any money. And he kind of looked dejected. But Annie B, she come to the rescue. She said, yep, I told him if he did it again, I'd write him a check. I think maybe we better play us a song here. This is one you can all join in on the refrain if you know it. It's one called Good Old Mountain Dew.
Good
Now, if that wasn't a great way to start our second half, I don't know what would be. Thank you all very much. It's great. Bob Hill and his new wife Betty are on their honeymoon in Europe near Transylvania. They drive a rental car along a rather deserted highway. It's late, it's raining hard, and Bob can barely see the front of the car. Suddenly he skids out of control, but he attempts to control it, and to no avail, the car swerves and crashes into a tree. Moments later, Bob shakes his head to clear the fog. Dazed, he looks over at the passenger seat and sees Betty unconscious with her head bleeding badly. Despite the rain and unfamiliar countryside, Bob knows he has to get her medical attention quickly. He carefully picks her up and begins trudging down the road. After a short while, he sees a light which is coming from a large old house. He approaches the door and knocks. A small, hunched man opens the door and Bob shouts, "Oh, hello, my name is Bob Hill, and this is my wife, Betty. We've been in a terrible accident and my wife has been seriously hurt. Can I please use your phone?" "I'm sorry," replies the man, "but we don't have a phone. My master is a doctor. Come in and I will get him." An older man comes down the stairs. "I'm afraid that my assistant may have misled you. I am not a medical doctor. I'm a scientist. However, it is many miles to the nearest clinic, and I have had some basic medical training. I'll see what I can do." The assistant picks up Betty and carries her downstairs with Bob following closely. He puts Betty on a table in the lab. Bob collapses from exhaustion and his own injuries, so the assistant puts Bob on an adjoining table. After an examination, the scientist looks very worried. "Things are very serious. We must prepare a transfusion." The master and his assistant work feverishly, but it was to no avail. Bob and Betty Hill are no more. Their deaths upset the scientist greatly. Wearily, he climbs the steps to his conservatory, which houses a beautiful grand piano. It is here that he has always found solace, and he begins to play. A stirring, haunting melody fills the house. Meanwhile, his assistant is still in the lab tidying up. His eyes catch a movement, and he notices the fingers on Betty's hand twitch, keeping time to the haunting piano music. Stunned, he watches as Bob's arms begin to rise, marking the beat also. He is further amazed as Betty and Bob both sit straight up. Unable to contain himself, he dashes up the stairs to the conservatory. He bursts in and shouts to his master, "Master, master, the hills are alive with the sound of music." I'm glad you laughed, because when I first read it, I kind of groaned. And now, I present Stuart Drummond with The Letter.
I'm going to read The Letter. First, however, a brief background. Before coming to Florida in November, we decided to sort out and dispose of junk from 60 years of marriage together. And in the junk, I found The Letter. However, in defense of the author of The Letter, she's the oldest of 7 siblings and was very practiced in telling them what to do. We were married in January 1956, and she was 17. The husband, me, I was 19 and teaching in a country school. We rented an apartment in the local village. Ada had a doctor's appointment in the city where her parents lived and decided to stay with them for a couple of days. Thus, The Letter. But ever since November, I wondered if she was really an overly caring wife or whether she thought I was probably the dullest knife in the kitchen. Okay, it's dated May 1956. Darling Stuart, here are your orders. First of all, it looks like it's going to rain, so if you're wet, change your clothes. If you need anything at the store, get it. Heat the soup for supper. It doesn't look too good, but it's only fat on the top and it won't melt when you heat it. I will leave you school lunch on top of the cookie can, and don't forget to take it. Before you leave Friday, look around and see if there is anything I forgot to take. The milk is in the little room, and you know where the rest of the things are. Take good care of yourself and get in safely Friday night. Don't lock yourself out. All of my love to you, darling Ada. P.S. Your raincoat is in the closet. If it rains out and you go out, put it on.
A man was walking down Main Street in Newport Richey recently, and he talked to a homeless man. And he asked the homeless man how he ended up that way. And the homeless man said, "Up until last week, I still had it all. I had plenty to eat, my clothes were washed and pressed, I had a roof over my head. I had cable, a huge flat screen HD TV set, and internet. I went to the gym, the pool, and the library almost every day. I was working on my MBA online. I had no bills and no debt. I even had full medical coverage." The man felt sorry for the homeless guy, and so he asked him, "What happened? Drugs? Alcohol? Divorce?" "Oh no, nothing like that," he said. No, I was just paroled." Austin Ferguson. He's originally from Glasgow, Scotland, and now lives in Canada, and is one of the new members of the variety show. He's going to play and sing Easy Chair and Wagon Wheel. Welcome, Austin.
Thank you. Both of these tunes are by Bob Dylan, and probably, I'm maybe 50 plus years old now anyway. First one's called You Ain't Going Nowhere, or Easy Chair. Fly so swift, the rain won't lift, gates won't close and the railings froze. Get your mind off winter time, 'cause you ain't going nowhere. Ooh, you ride me high, tomorrow's the day my bride's gonna come. Oh Lord, we gonna fly down in my easy chair. I don't care how many letters they sent, the morning came and the morning went. Pick up your money and pack your tent, 'cause you ain't going nowhere. Tomorrow's the day my bride's gonna come. Oh Lord, are we gonna fly down in my easy chair? I'm your flutes and a gun that shoots, tailgates and substitutes. Strap yourself to a tree with roots, 'cause you ain't nowhere. Ooh, you ride me high, tomorrow's the day my bride's gonna come. Oh Lord, are we gonna fly down in my easy chair? Genghis Khan, he could not keep all the king's supply was cheap. And I climbed that hill no matter how steep, but when we get up to the air, ooh, you ride me high, tomorrow share. Yeah, the next one is Wagon Wheel, and that was also written by Bob Dylan. I just found this out a little while ago. It was also done by Darius Rucker, which version you probably will know, and the Old Crow Medicine Show have a version as well. Anyway, this is my arrangement, or my version. I'm heading down south to the land of the pines, thumbing my way into North Carolina. I'm sailing up the road, I pray to God I see headlights. I made it down the coast in 17 hours, picking me a bouquet of dogwood flowers. I'm hoping for a ride and I can see my baby tonight. Rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, 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 mama, rock me. Rock me, mama, like a wind down the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, 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 mama, rock me. From the cold, up in New England, I was born to be a fiddler and an old passing man. My baby plays a guitar and I pick a banjo now. The love country winters keep getting me down. I lost my money playing poker, so I had to leave town. But I ain't turning back to living that old life no more. Rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, 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 mama, rock me. Yes, rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, 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 mama, rock me. To the south line of rolling low, I got a tractor and a plane and a nice long tow. But he said it
you, Austin, very, very much. So glad you're in the park. So glad you volunteered to be in the show. And you're going to do it again next year. Right? No pressure, folks. Do you ever wonder that once you're in heaven, do you get stuck wearing the clothes you were buried in for eternity? Don't let your family pick them out. Why does a round pizza get cut into triangles and is delivered in a square box? Do you ever wonder why do people pay to go to the top of tall buildings and then put money in binoculars to look at things on the ground? Do you ever wonder, if the professor on Gilligan's Island was so smart and he could make a radio out of coconut, why the hell couldn't he fix the hole in the boat? Do you ever wonder, why is it that no matter what color bubble bath you use, the bubbles are always white? Think about it. And about the statistics on sanity, that 1 out of every 4 people are suffering from some sort of mental illness. Now think of your 3 best friends. If they're okay, it's you. Just a thought. After appearances on several cruise ships and many community gatherings, we are delighted to present Hazel, the hypnotist.
I'm Hazel the hypnotist, here to entertain you tonight by hopefully hypnotizing some of your friends and neighbors. So, could I have 4 volunteers from the audience, please? Okay, come on. Oh, they're coming. Fine-looking specimens, don't you think? First of all, before I try to put them to sleep, I'm going to ask them their name because they might forget it after, so. What is your name?
Well, honey, my name is Josephine Spitfire, and I'm from Calhoun, Georgia, where they grow those peaches.
Oh, Josephine, you look lovely. And your name, sir?
I'm Marvin.